Hello my beautiful hammerheads and welcome back to Black Library Reviews number 21. This is going to be different. As I was cleaning up my bookshelf behind me, as you probably have seen, was not the best sorted bookshelf ever. I was thinking about this review because Ciaphas Cain, the Emperor's Finest. I'm not going to review this book especially because it's going to be the Ciaphas Cain series. And yes, this is fully on purpose because there are, as of right now, 10 books, several short stories and a few audio dramas which are about an hour long. And this might sound bad, but it's really not. They're all pretty samey. And this is a very, very good thing because you know what you're going into. Ciaphas Cain is hilarious. Sandy Mitchell has an amazing writing style. It is funny, it is serious, and there are suspended moments in which you really are thinking, how is he going to do this? And because stuff is usually, as I've said, in a very funny way described, and the vocabulary Sandy Mitchell uses is different. There is a certain way in which your brain has to do some acrobatics, minor acrobatics to get to some of the words. My favorite one is, instead of sitting ducks, we are sitting waterfowl. And there are many other things in these books, in these stories, and it's amazing, it's brilliant. So the usual enemies, and there isn't much change per se in the novels. Orcs, Tyranids, Gene Stealers. So once or twice we have the Tau and the Necrons as enemies, but it's usually, as I've said, Orcs and Tyranids. Which kinda makes sense, because when you have a regular human in the Astra Militarum, or back then the Imperial Guard, before the Primarch Rise series, in which 8th edition was introduced to the world, and everything got jumbled up with the nomenclature. But to send a regiment into basically the same war zones makes sense. So if you want another enemy every other book, this isn't for you. But if you're okay with they're regularly fighting, as I've said, against Tyranids and Orcs, this makes totally sense for me, because you need people with expertise to fight against those threats. And who is better to fight against the enemies of the Emperor than the Emperor's Finest, Ciaphas Cain? So the majority of the comedic value is that he really does not want to fight. This isn't a spoiler, it's basically the whole plotline. He just wants to sit somewhere and drink his tea, and that's it. He does not want to fight. But he himself in the story says that he's not really a brave man, and he usually plays down his own skills and his importance to the combat zones. And the whole thing is basically just edited books for other inquisitors by his lover, Amberly Whale, who is an inquisitor of the Order Xenos. There are several editorial notes in there which are also, again, hilarious. There are other people mentioned because Ciaphas Cain usually does not go into greater politics or what happens on certain planets in different combat zones. And he just focuses on himself. And so Emberly uses other people's accounts to fill those gaps, which is really brilliant. It's funny. And before I digress with this, Ciaphas Cain is a commissar in the Valhallan regiment, which is a great regiment. There are ice worlders who are basically sent on probably the majority of ice worlds to fight against the enemy, and he does not like the cold. But as a commissar, he has to do his duty, and yeah, he's attached to the Valhallans. And he has a different kind of managing the soldiers in his regiment. On multiple occasions, he mentions that he also teaches his students in the Scholar Progenium, the future commissars, on how to manage their soldiers. Because usually commissars are getting shot at by their own people because they do not like commissars. I wonder why. And yeah, this is also a fascinating view on how he lives with his duty, and that he really does not want to shoot people. And of course, with a series as long as this one, there are reoccurring characters like his aide, Jurgen. One of the best characters ever. It's not a real spoiler because it is pretty much said in the first quarter of the first novel that he is a blank. If you don't know what a blank is, he's basically anathema to the warp. There is a bubble of voidness, let me call it like this, around him, in which he negates everything psychic, and people feel uncomfortable around him. And due to this blankness, he is a very valuable asset to Ciaphas and to a certain extent to Amberly Whale. And using this as a catalyst for certain moments in the stories is also pretty funny because, of course, no one expects a blank in their midst. And yeah, it's worth a read. There isn't much to say about the Ciaphas Cain series as a whole, because they, as of right now, do not have any impact on the greater story of 40k. There are some details about the Valhallans, of course, and how the Imperium deals with certain stuff like the acquisition of gear from certain planets and how they replenish their losses and so on and so forth. So it is informative in that account. And even if you're not starting with the first novel, that's also basically not a problem, because in every story, Amberly explains stuff again and again, because it is already expected that you're not starting with the first one. I do recommend starting with the first one, as it makes, sense. So start with the first one, even though they expect you not to start with the first one. I don't know if that makes sense. I hope it does. But yeah, start with book 1. So am I cheating right now in making fewer videos than 10 Ciaphas Cain Black Library reviews and 10 audio drama short story reviews? Yes and no. Because as I've said, they're basically all the same. You know what you're going into. And I give the whole series a 9 out of 10 cups of Tanner. And if you're reading the novels, you know what Tanner is. A beverage I do enjoy myself, if it's, which I think it is. And yeah, I really do recommend reading these novels. And which I do recommend more is listen to the audiobooks, because there are not the usual kind of audiobooks. There are narrated by several people. Amberly Whale has her own narrator, Ciaphas Cain has his own narrator, and to a certain degree some of the guests have their own narrators. My favorite one is Emma Gregory as General Sulla. And yeah, this is a different kind of audiobook, which is also again really, really funny. And I think this is one of the few occasions in which the audiobook is better than to read the book itself. So I'm sorry if this whole video came up as a little bit half-hearted, uh, because the idea just came to me as I was, as I've said, sorting out my whole hobby area and the bookshelf. And I just wanted to talk about it because I was just listening to the Last Ditch audiobook. The last novel came out 2018, and the one before was 2013. I really hope that we will get another novel. I won't go into spoilers. It is possible to have more stories of Ciaphas Cain, even in our current timeline of 40k. And that would be amazing and hilarious. Just imagine a meeting with Gilliman and Ciaphas. But yeah, what are your thoughts on the Ciaphas Cain series? Are you enjoying it as much as I do? If not, why not? Please let me know in the comment section down below. I am keen to know what you have to say. And while you're down there, do all the YouTube stuff, because hitting buttons is fun. Have a great day, my friend. Stay fantastic, stay hydrated, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!